Hi there, this is James Tripp. This is a video on self-hypnosis, and it is specifically on the most fundamental skill of self-hypnosis. What I'm going to share with you in this video is really the foundation of what you need to be able to do if you want to use self-hypnosis regularly, effectively in your life to create all manner of changes, all manner of personal transformations. The skills I'm talking about here, this is the bedrock, this is the foundation. I'm making this video from a hotel room, by the way. I'm in Portugal learning some incredible stuff from John Grinder, one of the co-founders of NLP. I would be shooting this from out on the balcony. There's an incredible view, but the sun was just too much in my eyes and too much squinting and all of that. So here I am in the hotel room, but we're here to talk about self-hypnosis. So with self-hypnosis, you can take yourself anywhere that you need to be. So, the most fundamental skills of self-hypnosis. First of all, what I'm going to say here is when I'm talking about self-hypnosis, because hypnosis is a word, so people use this word in different ways, and some people will class different things as being hypnosis, and other people will say, well, no, that's not hypnosis. What I'm talking about here with self-hypnosis is I'm talking about a formal practice of deliberately shifting one's experience for the purpose of self-transformation. So anything we are doing formally and consciously to shift our experience for the purpose of transforming our ways of being in the world, our ways of experiencing the world, all of this kind of thing. This is what I'm talking about, specifically done stuff. So what is the most fundamental skill? When I asked myself this question, the answer that naturalistically arose first was absorption. Absorption. The most fundamental skill came up as absorption. Why? Because with self-hypnosis, what we're wanting to be able to do is deeply absorb ourselves into experiences. These might be trance experiences. They might be experiences of ourselves being a certain way in a particular context. The point of the matter is it's a deep absorption. People talk about trance. What is trance? You know, what people classically talk about as trance is really a deep absorption in a particular state which has been shaped through language and communication by the hypnotist. This is what trance is. But without a deep absorption in that experience, there is no trance, there is no experience, there is no hypnosis. So this is the thing that came up for me, absorption. But you know, if it's all about deep absorption and experience, we could say that watching a good movie is self-hypnosis, you know, or hypnosis, becoming absorbed in the movie, absorbed in the experience of it. And there is a case that could be made, yes, that is hypnosis. But as I said at the beginning, we're talking about something that we do deliberately with intention to shift our states, shift our experiences in order to transform our ways of being and engaging in the world. So watching a movie, that's not what we're doing there. We're watching a movie for entertainment's sake. We're handing over to the movie to pull us in. Some movies will be more effective, some movies will be less effective, but we're not going to call that self-hypnosis or hypnosis. So given that, absorption is fundamental, it is important, but it's not the only thing, and it's not necessarily the signature thing in and of itself. There needs to be something else there added in order to make it hypnosis or self-hypnosis in this instance. And this is creation. Creation. So the two fundamental skills that become one for self-hypnosis is creation and absorption. So what I mean by that is in order for us to shift into a different state of being, in order for us to shift into a different mode of mind, we have to use our mind body, our neurology, to create an experience into which we become absorbed. Now, when a person is working with a hypnotist, they hand over much of that task of creation to the hypnotist. The facilitation of the creation is handed over to the hypnotist. So the hypnotist will use language and communication to lead that person in moving their minds in particular ways to create different experiences that they become absorbed in. The hypnotist will also coach the absorption. So the hypnotist, in a sense, this is often the way when I teach hypnosis on the Hypnosis Skills Bootcamp, I'm always saying to people, you're not really a hypnotist, you're really a facilitator of experience. As the hypnotist working with somebody else, you're using your language and your communication to assist them in neuropsychologically creating and absorbing themselves in profound experiences. This is what you are doing. When we're doing self-hypnosis, we're doing exactly the same thing. Only we have to be both roles. We have to be the facilitator and the experiencer. We are both the hypnotist and the hypnotee. So the skill set becomes one of leading ourselves in mental creation and mental absorption. And the more profoundly you can do this, the more impactful the self-hypnosis is. So these are the primary skills. Now, everybody has baseline competencies in these skills. They have baseline competencies in these skills. They must do, they have to, because in each and every moment of every day we are shaping and creating our experience. We do not live in the world as it is, but as we are making it up to be experientially. Hypnosis merely utilizes with intention our everyday cognitive, neurocognitive reality shaping processes. We all have the baseline competencies there, but what we're not usually used to doing is using them with volition, using them with intention, mindfully, consciously creating the experiences of absorption in strategic ways. This is what we're not used to doing, and this is what we learn to do through self-hypnosis. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, there's an old saying, I think it was Dave Ellman, I could be wrong about this, I think it was Dave Ellman, the legendary medical hypnotist Dave Ellman, who came up with this phrase: all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. And the reason this is true is because the more competent a person is in shifting themselves, creating and absorbing these two sides, creating and absorbing profound experiences, well, the better a hypnotic subject they are across the board, the more easily they'll work with another competent hypnotist. There can be a flip side to that actually as well, in that the better you become at doing it yourself, the more that the more you find mismatches with how an external hypnotist may facilitate you. So there can be a flip side to it as well, but it doesn't matter because you can just override them and do what you need to do yourself, you see. So it's a really fundamental skill, because it's about becoming hypnotically skillful, self-hypnosis, not in the way that people traditionally think. You know, I run the Hypnosis Skills Bootcamp. The emphasis on the Hypnosis Skills Bootcamp is on the skills of the practitioner facilitating other people's experiences. But really, we can flip that whole notion of hypnosis skills on its head and say, well, what are the skills of the hypnotee? The one who is actually going into the experiences. What are the internal skills that enable them to do what they are doing there effectively, to shift state effectively, to shift into different mind-made realities effectively? What are the skill sets? So these are the two fundamental things. Now, what I'll say about this skill set, the underpinning skill set of self-hypnosis, is you can learn self-hypnosis from a formalized perspective, as in, here are some self-hypnosis inductions. And a lot of the ways that people teach self-hypnosis is to give people sort of by the numbers rituals, by the numbers self-hypnosis rituals. And it's like, almost like, here's a series of keys, you follow them, you don't really need to understand them, you just do each step and this will happen to you. You will go into self-hypnosis. Now, this is fine. This is a perfectly valid way of doing things. But there's another layer you can add on to this, because any self-hypnosis process, if you were to not to merely learn it, but were to go beyond that and learn from it, what are the skills for yourself that you would learn from a self-hypnosis process that you could then start to use more and more adaptively, more and more informally, more and more as and when you need them? What are the skills you can learn from? What are the skills of personal mental mastery that you can pick up from this and start to use in a variety of different ways, instead of simply within a prescribed, rigid format? So for me, this is what self-hypnosis is really about. At the front end, it's fine, it's great, it's a good idea to work with formalized processes. But if you become rigidly stuck in having to do these processes, then you're reliant upon the process. And what I would advocate is that people go beyond that, learn from that, and become reliant upon themselves to facilitate shifts as and when they need to in any manner of useful ways, to be able to pull back, design trances, design state shifts, design transformations of experience that serve them personally, and implement them in ways that work specifically for them. This is the real skill set of self-hypnosis. So as you're watching this, you probably know that I have a self-hypnosis training coming up. If you want to follow the link, if you're in London this summer and you want to do this, please do sign up. As this video goes out, the early bird is still running for this. If you want to jump on it, please do. If you have any questions about self-hypnosis, or shifting your own state of mind, your own experience, if you don't want to put it in the self-hypnosis frame, please do ask in the comments section around this video, whether you see this on the Hypnosis Without Trance blog or on James Tripp Chaos Wave YouTube channel. Okay, take good care of yourselves, and until we speak again,